is the market, and the cost of acquiring the data has long since been exceeded by the profits, by the multi-billion-dollar profits that have been made. How can you promote competition in that digital marketplace if allocation of data from the only market player is off the table?
Well, you want to make sure that they acquired their position lawfully, because if they didn't,
assuming that the data was acquired in a legally permissible manner.
If it's acquired in a legally permissible manner and it's used in a legally permissible manner,
but
then
to an anti-competitive.
No, well, if it's used for an anti-competitive purpose, then we could go after it, and we would.
Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Simmons, Facebook has repeatedly misrepresented how it uses individuals' data, and I worry whether the FTC's settlement releases Facebook for misrepresentations that the public is only now learning about. For example, TechCrunch reported in September that Facebook had publicly exposed the phone numbers of 133 million U.S. users. Assuming Facebook had not told users it would be exposing their phone numbers this way, and assuming Facebook exposed their numbers before the settlement was finalized in June, would Facebook's misconduct be released from liability under the settlement agreement?
It would be released under the settlement agreement to the same extent it would be released if we went to litigation and won. No difference.
In August, Bloomberg reported that Facebook had paid contractors to transcribe users' audio chats. Did the FTC settlement release Facebook from liability for that conduct?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't catch that.
Facebook paid contractors to transcribe users' audio chats. Did the settlement release Facebook from liability for that conduct?
It released Facebook from order violations that occurred prior to June 12th that did not continue past June 12th. It did not release Facebook from Section 5 violations that we didn't already know about.
Just yesterday, CNET reported that when some users scrolled through Facebook's app on their iPhones, Facebook activates users' cameras and starts watching them. Did the FTC settlement release Facebook from liability for that conduct?
I can just say what I just said, and also remark that it's inappropriate for me to comment on whether or not we're conducting non-public investigations.
No, I'm just asking whether or not
that's all part of
been exempted by the settlement agreement.
I don't know enough to know the answer to that question because I don't know enough to know. I don't have enough facts to know.
Does the FTC?
But let me say one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you, which is that you can be assured that if there's something in the press that raises a privacy issue, our staff is either already looking at it or will immediately start looking at it when they see the media report.
Okay. But yet you need more manpower in order to be able to respond to these complaints that seem to proliferate continuously.
Yes, we could use more resources, definitely.
Thank you. Does the FTC list anywhere the full universe of known order violations and known Section 5 violations for which the FTC granted the release to Facebook?
No.
You do not list those offenses?
I'm sorry, maybe I didn't understand your question.
Does the FTC list anywhere the full universe of known order violations and known Section 5 violations for which you granted Facebook a release?
I believe they're in the complaint.
In the complaint. All right, thank you.
The gentleman yield back. I now recognize the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. McBath, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here today. And I want to discuss what your work means for consumers. In our past hearings, we've talked about